Hello and welcome to the MacMost Daily Vlog. Today we're going to take an informative and historical look at the modern laser printer.
They didn't have lasers when I was born.
So our laser printer here is just about done.
Ready
it's a
to
laser
die.
jet. It's an old one, and we've used it a lot.
It's having a heart attack.
So I got to get a new one, but I'm cheap.
It's
so
out
I
of
bought-
photons.
Yeah, it's out of photons.
You're cheap.
No. So the thing is that so generally I like Hewlett-Packard HP laser jet printers.
I think that they were among the first, if not the
Yeah,
first.
for sure. They were
I remember that
Xerox,
there was
Apple,
there was like a $5,000 laser printer that they had.
And Apple, of course, they were pioneers in this,
Yeah.
and they let that go. During the non-Steve Jobs years, they let their printer stuff
Division
just go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I found one. Brother's got a model that's under $100 if you buy it from Amazon, and under $100. So I'm interested. Already, Jay, and you told me something interesting about the printer cartridge business. The toner cartridge.
It's just like
toner.
Now they're almost ready to the point where they can afford to give you the printer for nothing and just get you to rebuy the
but
cartridges.
There's two. Almost every printer, and I found that has two different types of cartridges.
Right.
That you could buy.
A low capacity and a high capacity.
Right, about 2,500 or 3,000 pages in the low capacity one, and they're about $60 to $70.
Right.
And then for about $100, maybe 90 to 120 around there, there's the high capacity, which is about 7,000. Much better value. The ones you get with the printers are always the low capacity ones, almost always, I assume. And so you want to look at that. And so I looked at, there was this $100 printer, and of course it comes with a low capacity cartridge, I'm sure.
Diminished capacity.
But yeah, so it's something to look at, and it was kind of interesting because I always thought a cartridge was a cartridge.
Well, if I may chime in, I bought a printer early on when I first got my computer in college, and found that it was like a $50 printer or something.
Well,
it was
it was an
inkjet.
But we're not talking about inkjets. Totally different subject for another day.
Oh, okay.
Inkjets and might as well be night and day. I can't believe they both use the word printer because they're so different.
Well, the two similarities is that ink costs more than the printer. Those are the two things.
Well,
that
it is
essentially.
But I
You push the print button and printed paper comes out of it.
yeah, I don't like. I mean, I don't even like to compare inkjets and laser. I think they're so different.
They are very different in terms of technology, but the bottom line is that it comes down to how much does it cost to print.
I think
and how much do
inkjets
you print.
actually do cost more for the cartridges than the thing. Whereas laser jets still cost more for the printer than the toner. Not much,
but barely.
Yeah, and it's price per print.
Per print.
We're going to see. We'll do a review of this because Apple sells this at the Apple Store. We'll do a review eventually of the printer, the $100 Brother.
HL 7020.
2070.
2070.
But and then we'll also look at the there was a nicer Brother printer. Everybody knows that the nicer Brother.
That was a nicer Brother.
But and then there's the then there's the Hewlett-Packard that seems like their comparative one was a much beefier model for $400 some, which and I'm certain that's a better printer. But my thinking is if I can get half the time out of a $100 printer as a $400 printer,
You're still ahead of the curve.
But every time I've done that, I've regretted it, and I've ended up going back and just spending the extra money and bought an HP, and it just sits there and it works. Like this one has for about 5, 6 some years.
This one is just on the wrong side of working, though.
Yeah, it is. The thing that's always bothered me about this printer is the fact that it only holds about 50 sheets of paper, and
it serves the entire Clever Media Tower. So
thousands of people.
And what bothers me is I started printing out something 5 years ago. It's still
in the
queue. Yeah. Well, and one thing that I mentioned before, regardless of what kind of printer I couldn't afford in college, was that I resulted to having to commute down to the school to have to print in their computer labs because I was paying student fees for those facilities anyway. So why pay for it
Good
twice?
idea if you're a student. One thing to look at is we need different from most printers. You have to look for that N, which means networked, which means we can hook an Ethernet cable up to it.
Yes.
It's hooked into our hub, and everybody can print. If you don't get that, if it's just USB, it's basically hooked up to either one computer or we could hook it up to our
the Airport Extreme.
Airport Extreme. But I wasn't ready to go that route yet. I was ready to. I ready to have that independent. Yeah, a little too extreme.
See, in my school, what you do is you take your flash drive in and you give it to the lady, and she runs a mimeograph.
I have a box of crayons.
But it smells. Oh, it smells
Freshly
great.
printed.
Yeah. So anyway, look for that review from us and check out other stuff at macmost.com. Bye.